Israel's military said early it had tried several times to shoot down a missile fired from Yemen which sent sirens blaring across the center of the country. The latest attack came less than a day after Yemen's Houthi rebels said they launched a missile towards Tel Aviv, which Israeli forces said they intercepted. Following the sirens that sounded in a number of areas in central Israel, several attempts were made to intercept a missile that was launched from Yemen, the military said in a statement. But according to Warzone Info Press, Yemeni missile strike halts flights in Israel and forces residents to take refuge in shelters. According to the movement's military spokesman, Yehia Sari, the Houthi forces targeted an Israeli defense ministry in Tel Aviv using a hypersonic ballistic missile. The rocket forces of the Yemeni armed forces carried out a military operation by attacking the so-called defense ministry of the Israeli enemy in the occupied area of Tel Aviv with a Palestine II type hypersonic ballistic missile. The missile reached its target, and the interception systems failed to track it, Sari stated on the Houthi-owned Al Masirah TV channel. Amid the ongoing conflict in the Gaza Strip, the Houthi movement has warned that it will continue to fire rockets into Israel and block ships associated with Israel from navigating the waters of the Red Sea and Bab el-Mandeb Strait until military operations in Gaza come to an end. Since November 2023, the Houthis have carried out numerous attacks on civilian vessels in the Red Sea and Gulf of Aden. In recent weeks, they have regularly claimed responsibility for rocket attacks on central Israel, including the cities of Tel Aviv and Ashkelon.
וואי 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 מספר שיגורים הנה שקרו באזור מרכבה שלנו מידע, אנחנו נעדכן לך. תודה על הסבלנות ועל הקשבה.
הנה, זה היה ממש פה. אחלה שדה תעופה, חבר'ה, מה זה? איזה מוזיקה. יאללה, מהר, מהר. בוא נצלם, הלו!
Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro, who suppressed the popular uprising in his country and made another election for himself, now proposes to invade Puerto Rico, an incorporated organized territory of the United States, and liberate this island from the Americans with the help of Brazilian troops. The Venezuelan president's remarks were made during the closing ceremony of the International Anti-Fascist World Festival in the South American country, attended by people carrying flags of different nations, including that of Puerto Rico. Maduro also invited people with Puerto Rican and Cuban flags to the stage. Among those present at the event with such a pompous name were also people with the Brazilian flag, and this apparently promoted the autocrat to include this country in his plan to liberate Puerto Rico. We have a plan for liberation that Simon Bolivar bequeathed to us. Puerto Rico's independence is still not decided, and we will achieve it together with the forces of Brazil and Abro y Lima at the head, Maduro emphasized. Among the attendees were also individuals carrying the Brazilian flag, promoting the president to include the South American country in his proposal to free Puerto Rico. During the same event, the president also warned that if necessary and if his government is threatened, he will resort to arms. The president said that Venezuela is preparing itself together with Cuba, together with Nicaragua, together with our older brothers in the world, in case one day we have to take up arms to defend the right to peace, the right to sovereignty and the historical rights of our country. The event brought together approximately 2,000 delegates from 125 nations and took place after the inauguration of the Venezuelan president following a disputed election and in a context of protests by the opposition due to the electoral results of the previous year. recalled the inauguration of Nicolás Maduro as Venezuela's president provoked a mix of hope and disappointment among his detractors on Saturday. They wondered why the self-proclaimed socialist leader could not be arrested, despite compelling evidence that he had lost an election the previous year to Edmundo González. Some said the mood after the event at the Legislative Palace in Caracas was similar to an emotional hangover, while others expressed feeling helpless. Countries such as Costa Rica, Panama, Ecuador, and the Dominican Republic on Saturday described Maduro's inauguration as an illegitimate act resulting from electoral fraud imposed through state terror on Venezuelans, they said in a joint statement. Their efforts will continue, they said, until they achieve a democratic transition in Venezuela. Opposition leader Maria Corina Machado said in a social media post that Maduro was guilty of a coup by not leaving office on January the 10th. The date of Venezuela's presidential term begins by law. She said she was certain that the freedom of the country is at hand, but did not mention any next steps the opposition could take to end Maduro's presidency. Underscoring Maduro's growing isolation, the United States, Canada, Britain, and the European Union announced new sanctions Friday against more than 20 Venezuelan officials, accusing them of undermining democracy in the country. Those targeted included Supreme Court judges, electoral officials, the head of the state oil company, and ministers.